Hello and welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Eric, joined once again with Karen,
Yeah.
bringing you some more Ryan's Hope, episodes 96 to 100. Tommy will roll the credits and we'll chat. All right.
Is it to 100 though? Because we're missing 100.
I found the what is it called?
The synopsis?
Description, yeah. Description, synopsis of what happened.
Okay, cool. Because I don't know what happens in 100.
And it didn't sound like it was, a 100th episode. But again, back then they probably didn't even recognize
I
it.
feel like they worked, like soap operas worked in years. Like they were always more excited about reaching like the first 5 years,
Yeah. Or even a year.
Even a year.
Well, Ryan's Hope, episode 96. Mary's packing up. She's getting out. Roger's back, so it's nice to see him back.
Yay, I was excited to see Roger back.
It was also funny to see him all mad at Clem for no reason. And
yeah, because he wanted that surgery so badly, and then Clem got it anyway. And Clem was not gloating, but he did say, "Well, God has a plan." And I was like, "Clem."
Well, he wasn't even gloating, and he was like, "Yeah, I made that happen. I made her have this issue right away." He was like being a smartass, which was amazing.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. So he kind of busts on him, and then he tells them like exactly what happened, or whatever. Nick and Roger talk. Of course, Nick is he doesn't want his money. He just wants payment in other forms.
He wants dirt on
Frank
because Frank won't do what he wants him to do. So he wants to be able to leverage Roger's debt for information. And Roger's not having it. He just wants to give him the money.
And Roger's going to have things broken soon.
Poor Roger.
Bob tries to sway Johnny to talk Mary into staying because Mary is full-blown pissed. Tired of living that Ryan life. She's very you right now. She hates all the Ryans.
I do. I hate all the Ryans, and I'm with Mary this week. I think she's right.
She really, I mean, it really is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Johnny will not even give anything. Whatever. He's being a dick. Johnny asks Jill to fill him in about Jack a little bit. She really doesn't help things.
No, she trash talks him. She's just basically like, he's a hoe and you can't trust him. Right. And Johnny's like
he's like, well, how were things when you left the relationship? She's like, they get along now. I'm like, you could be a little bit nice, Jill. She's not.
Jill is, I'm sorry, but Jill's not a good person. She's sleeping with somebody else's husband, and her and Jack didn't work out, and she can't even let it go. I don't know, Jill.
I just like petty. That. She kills. I gotta find her stuff. Roger tells Nick, he wants to stay clean. He doesn't want to be all about that bad life anymore. But it's Roger, and we know he'll
not just going to go away. You have to get treatment.
Nick calls Herbie. Herbie's coming.
I love Herbie.
To hurt Roger in any way he can to get whatever information out of him.
Herbie's so fun.
Bob talks to Mary for Johnny, trying to get her to see his ways. And she's like, no, hell no.
Let me give you a speech about how correct my sexism is. And then Mary's like, your sexism is incorrect. Goodbye.
Sexism sucks. That's all I got for that one. Episode 97, Delia talks to Mary. I always like Delia and Mary convos. I don't know why I think they have good chemistry.
I think they have great chemistry, but the conversations are very confusing sometimes because Mary facilitates between hating Delia and treating her like a relative. So I guess they have a very sisterly relationship.
They really do. Because Delia's like, I'm always the last to know. Tell me stuff. Mary's like, I'm just leaving. Fuck you. I'm out of here.
And then Delia's like, are you sure that's what you want to do? And then the funniest part was the blue robe. She's like, where's my favorite robe? And she's like, oh, I wore it and I spilled stuff all over it.
Oops.
Delia.
I know. Frank's getting out of the hospital. Nell's awake. It was nice to
Hmm.
see her awake, but she's having some
Loopy.
issues. Yeah. Yeah. Brain shit going on.
Hmm.
Bucky's around. She says she wants to go home when she's getting out. He's like, well, how
Yeah.
can I talk you out of that? And his mom is coming to town finally. Now wants to get up. He tells her about that she could be weak on the right side. She doesn't want any help. She falls, but like Bucky catches her kind of.
Yeah, it's sad because
It
she's so upset because I think she was convinced if she stood up, she was going to be able to at least walk a few steps. And
is.
she kind of crumples because of the weakness on her one side. And it's just upsetting because she's such a strong person to
Yeah.
be,
And
disabled in this way. It's so upsetting.
Seneca lied to her basically and said she was fine.
Well, I think he thought, I don't know if he was lying or if he was hoping that the swelling would go down and she would be fine.
Yeah, he could have been. Look at you
And
giving him the benefit of the doubt.
no, I still hate him. Look,
This
you
is
can.
real for
He's
you to give
too
somebody the
sexist
benefit of
for
the
me.
doubt
Yeah,
when you
I
do
know.
this. Johnny tells Frank about his anger for Jack. Mary and Delia talk about Jack, but Frank comes home and interrupts. And that's it. Oh no. Now questions Seneca about her surgery and his lying. She does mention it. But then she like says, I'm glad you're here for me. So I'm like, oh, I thought she was mad. But I think she's
I
having
don't.
issues that she doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah, yeah. She's confused.
He helps her walk. She's glad he's there. And Frank tries to sway Mary to stay, and nope, she ain't having it. She's done. Done
I
there,
think
but
she was kind of funny because she was like, "Of all people, you would try to convince me to stay here." Like, he doesn't want to be there. Delia's there. He wants to be with Jill. He wants to live his own life, but he doesn't want her to live her own life. It's annoying.
yeah. So episode 98, Pat's going to bed. I didn't know where he was, but he is at the hospital, I think, and there.
They have intern dorms, I think,
Yeah,
and
we have
because
them.
they have like the girls and boys separated, so she keeps sneaking into his room to catch him sleeping. She's very weird. It's very weird.
That. Like, I just want to be like, oh, Faith, this girl. But
She
she does.
talks like a 16-year-old girl about relationships. She really does.
She's like, I know you won't ever be with me, just me, and I'm
I
fine
know
with all these things.
she's
And
not though.
no, she sees him with another girl, and she's all jealous. Like, and she tries to throw women away from him. So it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Faith.
I think she wants him, and I think she thinks that if they're together, she'll be either okay with it or he'll fall in love with her and he won't want to do it anymore. Either way, she's being delusional about this relationship that she's starting and shouldn't start because it's all kinds of messed up. And Pat is, I don't want to be mad at him. I'm not really mad at him in this scenario because he is constantly asking for consent from her. So I think the delusion is mostly her deluding herself because he keeps saying, what if I can't promise myself to you? What if I go back to being, a bee, we'll say. And she's like, yeah. And she's like, I can handle it. I can handle anything. And then she can't, though. But he has to take her at her word because she's an adult. What is he supposed to do with that?
Right. And she had locked the door when she came in, so we know what she wants. And he's like,
Shenanigans.
I want to hear it from you.
Again, this is Pat asking for enthusiastic consent. He's like, are you sure this is what you want? And you have to say what you want, verbalize what you want. Like, so I can't be mad at Pat.
She's like, I want your penis.
She so said that, basically.
And yeah, she got it.
Yeah.
So Mary goes to Jack's and she's like, I'm moving in with you until I can figure something out because I have nowhere else to go.
And he's just like, okay.
I know, right, whatever. He fills him in on Pa being a tool.
Mm-hmm.
Herbie lurks at Rogers, one of those sitting in the dark waiting for them for God knows how long.
I know. I'm always like, how long were you there? And like, if you were like raiding their fridge and like drinking their drinks, and then you hear the door open and you skirt, like run back to hit the lights and sit in the chair, or
Well,
do you just chill in that chair for like 5 hours waiting?
and he's like, "What if it was my dad? What if it was my sister?" Herbie's like, "I know my business, pal. I know what's going on. I know their schedules. I know their
Yeah.
lives."
He's like, your father's at the hospital, and so is your sister. And even if they were here, I'd have an excuse ready because I'm a professional.
I really do like Herbie now.
Yeah, I fell in love with Herbie in this scene because I was like, that is some kind of badassery right there. Like that was so cool.
Don't tell me how to do my job.
Right?
Ed comes home and interrupts their talk. Nice to see Ed again. We haven't seen
Yeah,
him.
where has he been on the trip?
He apparently visited Nell, but we didn't get to see that, so I was kind of sad because I thought
she was probably asleep, and he probably looked longingly at her from the door.
Yeah. He's worried about her, of course. Faith tells Pat she understands him. She wants his penis. And to be my lover, which who says that?
No one, because it never sounds good. It always just sounds kind of like, I don't know, weird. Like it sounds uncomfortable.
It is.
But like I don't even want to say it. I would never.
It's so uncomfortable already and awkward that I feel like it works for her.
Well, everything awkward works for her. That's her wheelhouse. But like it was strange, and I did not like it.
And he's like, "Okay, I will give you my penis."
Sure.
Mary and Frank talk. He wants to go to Johnny to clear the air, and she still ain't having it. She's like, "No, I don't know." She needs time, and he's a dick. He's being a full-blown dick right now.
Yeah, she says maybe later, but right now, nuh-uh, not happening. And I think that's fair. Like if she went after him right now, the fight would just get bigger and bigger, and it would become irreconcilable. Like she's being smart, giving them both time to cool down before she even tries to handle this.
Yeah.
Because Johnny's being irrational, and he's only going to make Mary want to cling to Jack harder. This is a stupid plan if he wants them to break up. He could have just let them sleep together a couple times until Jack got annoying, and then they'd break up.
Yeah, which is what Bob was saying to him, basically.
Bob's not wrong, but Bob also wants to sleep with Mary, so...
Right. But he also wants to keep Mary away from Jack because so he can be able to have a possibility, I guess.
Then he should have said something years ago, but I have a feeling that he's also too old for Mary, and that's where we're at with these guys.
Yeah. So episode 99, we get the introduction of a new character, Diana Carter.
Is she not perfect?
She was. She was everything I thought she would be.
Mm-hmm. She sounds just like Nell, too. It's crazy. They have the exact same cadence when they talk.
Yes, Nell's sister, played by Sally Chamberlain. I looked her up. She was in Loving, 1989. Ooh. That's her only soap that she did besides Ryan's Hope. So I'm thinking she was like a Broadway lady. She
has a lot of presence.
She does. And like her gift was pretty funny too, which we'll get into in a sec. And she was in an episode of Law and Order. That was like one of her last things. I think she's still alive. It didn't say she was dead. So
maybe she just retired and she does stage plays in her own neighborhood because eventually you get sick of traveling around doing stuff.
Or she's 90 and she's
like she's at home gardening with her orchids.
So in the afterglow from the sex that was had, Faith and Pat seem to be happy, even though they're fully clothed. So I was a little bit confused. I'm like, okay, but they did have the sex, apparently. She's like, I'm so glad you're free and open. I expect nothing, and let's just love each other. And I'm like...
I didn't like any of this, I have to tell you.
I'm like, oh, Faith. It's very Faith, though. Nell's sister comes to visit, Bucky's mom, and... that's it. And I guess Seneca's in-law. She seems to like Seneca. She's like, I'm glad you're here for my sister, blah, blah, blah. Roger talks to Nick, threatens his hands. He's like, oh, I hope your hands won't be hurt. Like, you got to take care of those hands. Like, all right.
Just rat out Frank. It's not worth it.
I feel the same. At this
just
point,
rat him out.
You have Herbie up your ass. You have Nick up your ass. Like seriously. I'd be like, listen, I can tell you, but it didn't come from me. You find out. You explain some other way. Like
You
'cause
just say you saw something because Jill and Frank have been in and out. Like Jill's been in his hospital room every day. You say you caught them kissing. You leave Roger out of it. You got your information. Roger doesn't get his hands broken.
exactly.
Also, why does Frank like engender this loyalty? Like, really, they're not even really friends. He lent him the money, but he kind of tried to give the money back. So, like, aren't they even?
Yeah. And Roger even threatens him. He's like, "I'll call the cops." I was like, "You don't mess with Nick."
Right.
So,
I don't think that's a smart decision. I think I like Roger more than Frank, so I'm going to clearly skew towards Roger's point of view.
Roger is going to disappear if he keeps it up.
Cement shoes, swimming with the fishes.
So yes, Roger is getting more pressures on him. Diana and Nell reunite. Diana brings her a dancing lady, which is a flower in this glass egg.
She says it's a form of orchid. It kind of looks like an air plant. It's also made of plastic, so I guess it doesn't really matter because Nell dropped it right on the ground and killed it.
It looked familiar. Like I feel like I had one growing up.
It looks like an air plant. Like orchids are kind of air plants, so maybe it is like a small variety of orchid. But she had it in this cool glass thing, and she put it in the weak side of Nell's hand, like body, so it like literally fell out of her hand, and Nell didn't even get upset. She was just kind of like, oh.
She didn't even think anything of it, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on right now?"
I would have been devastated because Bucky's mom, Diana, was like, all of the orchids wanted to come to see you, but this one wanted to come the most, and then she killed it. I would have cried. You know how hard it is to take care of orchids? That is not an easy plant.
Right.
That was sad. For me, the plant girl. I was sad. And it was a plastic plant. I'm aware it was a plastic plant. I could see that it was a fake plant, and I still felt bad about it.
So Kenneth is around, lurking, watching Faith and Pat. She leaves
creepy.
She leaves like the flowers, whatever, at this nurse's station, and he pops one out. I'm like, what is with this man?
I don't know, because Pat gave Faith one of and it's a mum, like from Frank's room, which is crazy. Why would you put mums inside? They are smelly. And they leave it at the desk, and he just takes a flower off of it and like takes it because it was hers. This is weird. I don't like this.
It is so weird. I don't even know what vibes I'm getting. I mean, obviously
creepy vibes.
But why Faith of all people? Like Jill, I can see. like, I just feel like Faith is not one to handle a crush. Like I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't know where this is going.
I don't think it's based on anything about Faith's personality. I think Kenneth saw her and thought she was pretty, and that was all he needed to fuel his whatever this is. Because remember, he was like, you don't often see a girl like that as a doctor, thinking that she was too pretty to be smart. So he's already on my crap list. So
yeah, he's terrifying. Actually,
he scares me. I'm afraid of what he's going to eventually do.
Me too.
I'm scared.
So I did get episode 100, which is apparently missing somehow through the years. I don't know.
Well, back in the day, they used to film these things directly to tape because it was cheaper. And then networks would take the tapes and just tape over them. And that's how we lost a lot of shows. Even Doctor Who, which used to do things on film, they would transfer it from film to tape and then burn the film. So why? But they didn't care about preserving stuff like we do.
I guess they never thought like it would be a thing or they wouldn't need them anymore.
It's a soap. They assumed you'd watch it once and then no one would ever think about it ever again. Like the lack of forethought behind things is kind of crazy in those early days.
Never thought Queers and Soaps would come along and want to talk about every old soap humanly possible.
Every single soap. Let's do it. If you had 6 episodes and got canceled, I want to watch.
So according to source, IMDb, I looked up episode 100. Mary and Jack have it out with Johnny, so we'll miss that, which is kind of... Yeah, I kind of would actually want to see that. Delia steps up her plan to hang on to Frank, which I would want to see that as well. So episode 100 does sound kind of good.
I'm assuming she just like kept cozying up to Frank and trying to do everything for him and wiping his mouth and giving him sandwiches, and he was probably like, "Get away from me!"
And Jill's probably like there, and she's probably like, "What are you gonna do, Jill?"
He's mine now, Jill. Go home. Everyone hates you, and then everyone comes in and they're like, "Jill, you're here. We love you." Like every scene.
I know. Mary and Johnny reach a tenuous understanding. Herbie assaults Roger in an attempt to force him
I hope he doesn't break his hands.
to tell Nick Frank's secret.
Just tell. Frank's not worth it. He's not worth it. I don't even know why people like him.
I mean, I guess like I could see the loyalty because they don't know him. You know what I mean? Like they don't
Yeah,
know.
we have way more information.
Right. We have more information than the people. So like I mean Mary gets it a little bit now. She because of Jack.
Yeah, but you know what Mary's doing is not what she's like. What Mary's doing is dating a guy that her parents don't approve of. What Frank's doing is cheating on his wife and not caring, like, and hiding it from everyone because he doesn't want anyone to know because it'll hurt his career. So he's lying and having an affair. Like, he's terrible. Nothing Mary's doing is hidden. It's right out in the open. She told them she was in love with them. She spoke with them about it beforehand. She thought she got her mother's permission to do her own thing, and now she's being yelled at based on sexism and their dislike of the guy she picked. And then they're all like, "Oh, why couldn't it be another guy that we approve of?" And it's like, and then Bob's standing there like a creeper all the time. You imagine in Mary's eyes, because Delia and Frank have been together for a long time, that as far as Mary's concerned, Bob's her older brother. And then he's sitting there creeping on her all the time and wanting to be with her, but he hasn't really made a move except his kind of half-assed dinner invitations. Like, for Mary, it's probably a completely different way she looks at him than the way he looks at her.
Yeah.
Because imagine she was probably a teenager when Delia and Frank got together. So she wouldn't look at Bob that way if he's older.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious to know where that's gonna go.
Well, because imagine if, like, the guy your sister married had a brother and he was hitting on you after you've known him since you were like 15. You'd be like, "What? Ew, why?" You're like, "Ugh." You're like an uncle.
Yeah.
It'd be weird. It would be weird, I'm saying.
It would be. So if anyone is in the Philadelphia area, Kate Mulgrew is going to be here next weekend, next Saturday.
Oh, what? Is there a convention?
Philadelphia Fan Expo.
Oh, Fan Expo's here? Okay, yeah. I can't afford to go to those things. I'm poor.
Yeah. Fan Expo is probably one of the worst ones to go to because I feel like they nickel and dime you for everything.
Oh, that's a shame because Kate Mulgrew, she is a treasure.
I plan on meeting her. So I will show the things that I get. If I do get at meet her, I will show them on here.
You're going to ask her about Ryan Tope?
Hell yeah.
It'll be interesting for her to have someone not asking her about Captain Janeway or what's the other one she was in?
I did watch an old interview with Kate Mulgrew about Ryan Tope. So she does leave the series eventually, but she said she was friends with Claire Labine. So anytime the ratings like went in the crapper, Claire would call her and ask her to come back. And she did. She said I would go back to whatever
That's what you do for friends.
Right? So and she was saying she's very proud of Ryan Tope. Like she loved being there. So it was not a big deal for her to go back, but I
think it'd be really funny for you to be like, "Listen, I talked my friend into watching Ryan Tope, and she rages about the sexism all the time and totally supports Mary being a feminist icon."
All right. It took 95 episodes for my friend to like you.
No, it's not. Well, she's a little self-righteous in the beginning because she believed in all this nonsense. She believed her brother was a paragon of virtue. She believed her parents couldn't make any mistakes, so she didn't really feel human. And the more she learned,
not the actress, was just killing it, but.
Oh yeah, obviously, but like I like Maurice Bernard the person. I've hated Sonny Corinthos since he came on General Hospital, like day one, hate her. But that doesn't mean I hate the actor. Like, if you weren't doing a good job, I wouldn't dislike you as much as I do.
Right. Yeah. So that's it for this week. Anything else you got to say about these episodes?
I like seeing Bucky outside of the trio. I don't really like seeing him with Faith and Pat right now because of how awkward and uncomfortable it is, and how wrapped up they are in their own little storyline that they don't care that they've kind of crapped all over his and his life, and they don't seem to care that his aunt's in the hospital. They're too busy having an affair, so they seem like bad friends to me. So I like seeing Bucky with his mother and all of that.
Same.
And I thought the mom was super cute. I loved how much she sounded like Nell and how she refused to go. She's like, I cannot go to the hotel and I can't possibly have dinner until I've seen Nell. And I thought that was really cute. The week was good. Roger really shined. Like, I think his loyalty to Frank is commendable, even if I disagree with it.
It really is. It's a little too commendable. Like,
I think they've been family friends since they were all kids, so it's a little harder for Frank. Like, I don't think Roger's as much of a scumbag as, like, people are always like, Roger's a scumbag. I think Roger's a man with an addiction, and it colors what he does because he needs to feed his addiction. Yeah. So, like, on one hand, yeah, he sucks because he does things because of his addiction, but he is trying to maintain that loyalty to a guy who cheats on his wife and is not a great guy. And obviously had dealings with Nick Szabo before. And I have a feeling he used Nick Szabo to help him get elected. And now he's not returning on investment. And that's why Nick is doing this. So Roger's loyalty is commendable, but I don't think it's earned at this point.
Yeah.
Sorry if you're a Frank fan. I'm so like against Frank. I don't know. He just never gave me a good impression.
I mean, we see a lot of bad things about him. I mean,
yeah.
I don't love Frank. I don't hate him. I just feel
I think he's a good actor. I enjoy the way he's portraying the character. He's complicated and interesting, but I don't think he's really that good of a person.
No, for sure.
He's a hypocrite, and that annoys me.
Now back to Kenneth. I don't know where it's going. It's
a stalking storyline, right? You think stalking?
Maybe.
Are you scared?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrified. He's crazy. Like, he fixated on her from the minute he saw her. And that was so weird when he was bird watching through the window to see what her and Pat were doing on the picnic rock. And now he's kind of lurking and he just seems to appear. Yeah. And I think if she hadn't locked that door, he probably would have walked right in that room knowing she was in there to see what was up. Also, stop having sex at the hospital, you weirdos.
Yeah, I know.
I guess at the time they don't have much of a life, so they have nowhere else they can go. But
I can't say it doesn't happen all the time because I know people had sex at my hospital.
Sure.
I know things. But
I know things about retail places where people have had sex at work. And I'm like, that place is disgusting. And you had sex in a bathroom in a disgusting place. So don't take your clothes off just up against a wall. Otherwise, it's going to be.
Yes. So, yes, I'm excited to see more. Lemon Lady, what you think about this week? You're giving us some good information without giving things away. I'm liking it. I think you talked to Lemon Lady last time too.
I do sometimes. I like to comment and talk about my clear love of Ryan's. But after 100 days, Eric, how are you feeling about the show from the beginning to now?
I think it's great. It's interesting. All the stories are great. I like everything right now.
I think it evolved really well because in the beginning, and obviously this happens in the beginning, it was so much exposition, so much of characters saying, yes, and I grew up on a farm with 37 cats, and I was in a plow hit me one time, and that's how I got here, and I was raised by French nuns, and like they just did so much talking instead of doing anything, and I think a lot of that obviously is early setup, but now we're comfortable enough with the characters to introduce them more organically. I think it's kind of hitting its stride. It's much more interesting now than it was.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Frank's finally out of the damn hospital. It took him 96 episodes to get out.
I kind of miss seeing that scene of him falling down the steps every day. That was fun.
I'm sure it's not over. I'm sure we'll see it again.
But the amount of times they repeated that footage was like crazy pants. But I really did kind of enjoy it. I
Did the
did.
cops just give up, or was it because Frank just kind of covered it up and that's it? They just moved
I
along.
feel like they didn't have enough. They might still be investigating. But you know how these cases go where they do a lot. They have to track down leads and they have to put information together. And so far, with Frank being uncooperative, with no other witnesses, they're probably stalled out because they don't have any new information. So they probably set up a tip line. This is all based on what real cops do.
Right.
They probably set up like a tip line, and then they went on to other cases because it's New York, and I'm probably sure there's a lot more crime they could be investigating. And also
Frank's
with
not.
Frank being okay, they
Yeah.
don't care.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And also, he's not giving them any information. And every time they talk to him, he's being evasive. So they're probably like, it has to do with the mob, and they're getting out of the way. What would you do if you went to the guy and you're like, who pushed you down the stairs? What do you know? And he's like, I don't know anything. And you're like, you do. And he's like, I don't. And you're like, you do, though. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then you go home and you're like, this guy sucks. I don't care. Click, case closed.
Right.
We have other jobs to do. We're going to get cats out of trees. We're going to go arrest some people for smoking weed. We got things to do today.
Yeah, right.
Parking tickets.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this time for Ryan's Hope. We'll bring you some more in the coming weeks. Follow us on all the socials and our Patreon. We're doing a lot of watches and stuff over there. And we'll see you next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye.